Hi, welcome to this video. Today I wanted to talk about some tips if you're going to be a fresher and just advice and things I think you should know before starting university. I am going to get into some more vloggy content after uni starts, but just for the month of September I wanted to do a couple like back to school, starting university, all that kind of videos because I loved them, I continue to love them, and I know they are so helpful if you're about to start university, going back, whatever. And just for a quick introduction, I am a third year student or about to go into third year at the University of Leeds. I did my first year at the University of Sussex, then transferred to Leeds for second year. Yeah, let's get into it. So first of all, don't do things because you feel like that's what a university student should do. And now this doesn't quite make sense without context, so let me explain it a little bit more. So overall, I just think you shouldn't focus too much on having the university experience. So you might imagine what university is going to be like, but things might be a little bit different. You know, everyone goes to different universities, what you've heard might be different to how it actually is. Obviously, with the pandemic, things might not be as it was 5 years ago. Or if you see it on a friend's story, they might be going out all the time, but you might have more contact hours. So remember that it's different for everyone. Just enjoy the moment and focus on having fun and enjoying yourself, and as long as you're doing that, you don't have to worry about acting any certain way. The next thing to know is you don't have to be friends with all of your housemates. Before I get into it, first of all, be friendly to everyone. That is just basic standard if you're living with people, and there is no harm in being friendly to people, especially when you're first meeting them. But if the people you're housed up with aren't your best friends, don't change yourself to make them like you more. And I'm not just being like, be yourself, I truly mean like if you want to go to soccer tryouts, sorry football British people, if you want to go to tryouts and they're not into sport, don't not go because of them, just go. They are the people you live with and you might really get on with them, but they don't have to be your best friends. And if you don't get on with them at all, that's also okay. I think this is a bit obvious, but something that I did sort of when the pandemic hit and it was halfway through my first year, and I stepped back and I was like, are the people I'm surrounding myself with in line with how I want to be? And obviously I'm very into manifestation, all that stuff, and like how you act is how you will be, obviously. Anyway, but just make sure you're not changing yourself and you're only being friends with those people because they're the ones who are around you. And don't forget, you can move. I know tons of people don't do this at all or don't even consider it. You know, you don't want to step out of line, you don't want to cause any trouble, but it's really no trouble. It's just a choice you can make if you do want to. So if you're worried about not getting on with people, remember there are thousands of people who go to your university. You can move accommodations, you can move flats, rooms, whatever, even courses, or I moved universities. Don't worry, you're not stuck in one place. I'm also thinking of doing a video on that at some point if anyone's interested, but I did move flats once in first year and then I ended up moving universities because I just didn't feel right at my first university. Yeah, so if you want to see that, let me know down below. But on to more tips. So the next tip is to put yourself out there. You need to make friends and talk to people, and honestly you don't need to worry because everyone is in the same boat, and I know everyone says this, but go up to new people. I literally don't know one situation where someone would judge you for introducing yourselves to them. And literally don't be embarrassed. Remember that embarrassment is truly only how you see yourself. If you do something quote unquote embarrassing, no one's gonna remember that after 2 minutes. So just put yourself out there and don't worry too much. And also when it gets to class, you know, put your hand up, talk, answer questions. There is nothing more awkward than when a teacher says something and it's just dead silence and people looking at their laptops. Remember, especially in terms of what I just said, you are here to learn and you shouldn't be paying all that money if you're not going to put effort into your classes. And if you're not contributing in class, what's the point of being there? Another quick thing, sign up to the GP before you go to uni. Everyone says to do this, but trust me, you should, because once you've gone to uni, you don't want to have the hassle of calling up the doctor and everything like that. And if you're ill, you don't want to not be signed up with a GP, so do that. So be respectful of the people you are living with and also stand up for yourself. So if this is the first time you're living with people who aren't your family, it isn't the same. These people aren't related to you, they haven't known you your whole life, and don't expect them to act like your family and vice versa. You don't need to act like your family. Let me explain this a little bit more. So you shouldn't have to do things for other people. You owe them nothing. You've just been randomly selected and put in a room with them. So don't feel like it'll be the same where if your sister's left something out, you would clean it up. Obviously you can do, but don't feel like you have to, like you would do at home. But also some people will expect that they can just leave stuff out like they would at home, and when you're living with new people you can't do that. So yeah, one, don't be that person, and two, if people are being like that, do stand up for yourself. The next thing is is not to stress too much about work, but also not to forget about it. So the jump from sixth form to first year really isn't too bad. As long as you're trying your best, lecturers don't expect anything more than that. You're not meant to be an expert, you're just meant to be trying your hardest and getting involved, and that's how you learn. But also don't forget about work, and here is a tip for working and studying. If you can, get ahead with work. What I like to do is I like to be 1 week ahead, so if I have a reading for next week, I try to do that in the week while I'm doing the classes for the current week, if that makes sense. And this just means if I need to take a day off, if I get ill, if I want to go out, I don't have to stress because I don't have to cram. The next thing is, if you can't already cook, you need to learn. Eating out and getting takeout and buying food pre-made is just far too expensive, and also cooking is like a really good life skill. You should know it, and it's really fun being able to make meals that you enjoy. I was really surprised when I went to university how many people had never cooked for themselves before. So yeah, just make sure you know the basics: cooking, food safety, cleaning up, all that stuff. It'll be really useful. The next thing is, and I wish I knew about this when I was in first year, but I just saw this on TikTok. I cannot find the TikTok, but if you search uni wife or uni mum, there is so much stuff about this. Don't become the uni wife, house mum, whatever. You should not be cooking for people all the time and cleaning up after people all the time. Obviously, if you want to, you are welcome to, but don't feel like you are obligated to do that. This is your university experience, and you don't want to look back and just think of all the parties you're cleaning up after rather than actually enjoying yourself. Just remember that other people's messes and other people's food are not your responsibility, and if you are friends with people, you can cook, clean, whatever with them. It's a thin line here, but don't let yourself be the one who is always cleaning up. Have a calendar or somewhere to write events. Freshers Week and university in general is so busy and event filled, so make sure you remember things by putting them down in a digital calendar on your phone. Google Calendar is really good. In a wall calendar, a planner, bullet journal. This stops you from getting overwhelmed, and hopefully you'll never miss anything. Join the Facebook groups. Trust me, they're a bit annoying and they are so cringy, but they are so good, and it's part of the experience in my opinion. Especially during COVID, I met so many, if not all of my friends this way. It really helps you figure out what events are going on, but also they can be a bit stressful, so don't let them overwhelm you. Don't be afraid of talking to your tutors and teachers. Remember, at the end of the day, university is a degree. You are there to learn, and your teacher's job is to teach you. Most likely they want to be doing that, so don't feel afraid to ask them. So 2 things on that: if teachers aren't giving you the time and effort you deserve, stand up for yourself, it is their job. And 2, most teachers, especially if you're in a subject that values teaching like I am with sociology, they want to talk to you, so really they don't mind you asking any question. The next tip is to bring some food and snacks with you for the first few days. This is before you get to do your first food shop during freshers. You don't want to, one, be eating just whatever's there because it's there, and you also want to make sure you have food before you go out and stuff so that nothing bad happens. It's also nice to have comfort food to help you feel more at home. I made a whole video about everything you need to bring to university, but the things you might not have heard before, so I will link that up here, I think. So yeah, you can watch that if you want to hear more about what to actually bring. So this next advice is if you know people going to the same uni as you. So 1, definitely don't forget about them. Remember, just because you have known people for a long time doesn't mean you cannot prioritize them, but also 2, don't prioritize them over new friends. You have to figure out a balance where you don't forget about people and you still talk to them and treat them the same, but don't isolate yourself. The next tip is to look after yourself first, and I think this is a big thing for after Freshers Week ends. Obviously you've been putting yourself out there a lot, but you know yourself, you know what you need to do to recharge. So whether that's cook a meal with healthy food, or like for me, if I've been super social, I need to be alone and just with myself to recharge. So don't be afraid to take a day off and do what you need to do to not burn out. And the last and final tip, and everyone will tell you this and you will not listen, but do not rush into getting a second year house. And you might think, wow, that's crazy, I haven't even started university, why are you talking about that? But I literally had people asking to move into a second year house in the August before university started, and it is crazy how when you get there people start to freak out and immediately look for a house. So a couple things: if you want to browse the market, whatever, do feel free to. It's nice to know what is out there, but don't overwhelm yourself. Remember a couple things: you've only known these people for weeks, maybe months if you're lucky, so take a step back and make sure you know that you want to live with them. And number 2, which everyone forgets, you can be friends with people and not live with them. Just because you're not in a house with someone doesn't mean it's the end of your friendship, so don't rush into getting a massive house with every single friend you have, or don't feel offended if you're not in someone's house. It'll all be fine. There will still be so many lovely houses left in the second term, January, February, March, even April. I know people who got their flat just in August. I got my flat in August last year, so don't stress out too much. So that is all for the advice and things you might want to know before you go to uni. Tips for you guys who are freshers. If you did like this video, if any of it was useful, do leave a like down below, and if you have any questions, comments, concerns, whatever, do let me know because I answer all of them, and I would love to see more of you, so please do subscribe, and I hope to see you next time.